King's Landing burned beneath a sky of smoke and ash. Bells had rung for mercy, yet Dragonfire answered instead. The city that once held 1,000,000 souls now lay in ruin, its streets painted in fire and fear. Jon Snow walked through the chaos, his heart breaking with every scream that faded into silence. He had followed Daenerys believing in freedom, in justice. But what he saw now was conquest, not liberation. The Queen of Dragons had become the very tyrant she swore to destroy. As he watched the Red Keep crumble, Jon realized that this war was no longer against the dead or the Lannisters. It was against destiny itself. The man who wanted no crown was now being forced to make the hardest choice of his life, between love and duty, blood and honor. The ruins of the throne room echoed with Daenerys' victory. She stood before the Iron Throne, her dream finally realized, but round her lay the cost of it all. Jon entered, silent as the snow, carrying the weight of every life lost. His eyes no longer held love, they held truth. Daenerys spoke of a new world built on fire. Jon saw only endless war. In that moment, the blood of Aegon Targaryen burned inside him, but the heart of Ned Stark spoke louder. One side demanded power, the other demanded peace. When it was over, Dragon's roar filled the sky, and the Iron Throne melted into nothing. Jon had made his choice, not as a Targaryen, not as a king, but as a man who could no longer watch the world burn. The queen was gone, and the world stood in silence. The Iron Throne, once the symbol of power, was nothing but melted steel. With no ruler, the realm fractured. The Unsullied demanded justice, the Northmen demanded freedom, and the people of King's Landing demanded peace. In the middle of it all stood Jon Snow, the man who killed the Dragon Queen. He neither defended himself nor sought mercy. His eyes were tired, but unyielding. When the great lords gathered, the realm seemed one breath away from another war. Tyrion, broken but wise, spoke first. Let the man who never wanted power lead those who crave it. Those words echoed across the hall. Even Sansa and Arya knew it was true. Jon had fought for all, bled for all, and lost everything for peace. And so, through the ashes of fire and betrayal, a new hope was born. The wolf had risen, not to rule, but to protect. Even in death, Daenerys Targaryen's name divided the realm. To some, she was the liberator, the breaker of chains. To others, a tyrant cloaked in fire. As word of her death spread, armies clashed with words instead of blades. Grey Worm demanded Jon's execution. The North swore vengeance if he fell. The Unsullied wanted justice. The Starks wanted peace. Tyrion, weary and wise, stood between them. He spoke not of vengeance, but of balance. The realm has had enough of kings made from war, he said. Let us crown one born from sacrifice. Jon remained silent through it all. He refused the throne, called himself unworthy, but his silence only made the choice clear. When Drogon carried Daenerys' body beyond the horizon, it felt like the last chapter of an age had closed. The Age of Dragons had ended, and a new one was beginning. A world not built by bloodlines or thrones, but by those who carried their burdens with honor. The Great Council gathered in the ruins of the Dragon Pit, the very place where dragons once ruled the skies. Now, It was filled with the voices of men and women trying to rebuild a broken world. Sansa spoke for the North, demanding freedom for her people. Yara Greyjoy demanded justice for Daenerys. Tyrion called for unity, reminding them that endless vengeance would only burn the realm again. The lords argued for days, each house clinging to pride and power, until silence fell upon them all when Jon Snow was brought forth. His presence alone quieted the storm. He did not beg, nor did he command. He spoke simply, his voice heavy with truth. The realm needs peace, not another ruler drunk on thrones. But peace needed a face, a name that could end wars before they began. Slowly, even those who hated him began to see reason. The North trusted him, the South respected him, and the small folk whispered his name like a prayer. When the vote came, there was hesitation, but also hope. One by one, they agreed. The man who never wanted the crown would wear it, not as a conqueror, but as the last protector of a wounded realm. The day was quiet, yet the air carried a weight unlike any battle before. In the heart of the Red Keep, rebuilt, not for power but for peace, the great lords gathered once more. The Iron Throne was gone, melted into history. In its place stood a simple chair of carved oak, crowned with the sigil of a direwolf. As Jon Snow stepped forward, dressed not in gold or silk, but in the armor of a warrior, the hall fell silent. He did not smile, nor did he bow. His crown was forged from the blades of the fallen, humble, honest, and cold as the North itself. When the crown touched his brow, the people cheered not out of fear, but out of belief. From dawn to Winterfell, ravens carried the news. The bastard of Winterfell had become king of the Seven Kingdoms. But to Jon, it wasn't victory. It was duty, a burden he would bear for those who could not. As the cheers echoed beyond the walls, he looked to the horizon, whispering the names of those lost. His father, his queen, his brothers. The wolf had risen, but the man beneath the crown still longed for peace. For the first time in decades, Westeros knew silence. The fields began to grow again. The bells of King's Landing rang not for war, but for weddings and peace. Jon Snow ruled with fairness, not fear. He rebuilt what fire had taken, feeding the poor, freeing the unjustly imprisoned, and ending the cycle of blood that had poisoned the throne for centuries. Even the Iron Bank of Bravos bowed to his honesty, and the people began calling him the Wolf King. But peace is never eternal. In the shadows of this new dawn, old loyalties began to crack. Some lords whispered that a northern king should never rule the south. Others feared his Stark blood would make him favor Winterfell. And across the narrow sea, whispers spoke of surviving Targaryen loyalists, those who would never forgive the death of their queen. Jon, though wise, was still a man haunted by ghosts. He trusted too easily, forgave too often, and while he looked toward uniting his realm, others plotted to divide it once more. The same wheel he tried to break began to turn again, slowly, quietly. Beneath the calm surface of peace, years passed, and peace became routine, until rumors from the far north began to spread. Wildlings spoke of shadows moving beyond the wall, whispers of cold winds and eyes like ice. Jon, older now and weary, rode north once again. Some said he went as a king. Others said he went as a man searching for himself. At the wall, the snow fell thicker than ever, covering the past like a shroud. Ghost followed close, and as Jon looked into the endless white, he felt it, the chill of something ancient awakening. Peace had come to men, but winter was eternal. Jon ruled not from a throne, but from his people's hearts. He never sought gold or glory, only balance. When threats rose, he faced them as a warrior, not a ruler. He met betrayal with mercy, vengeance with silence. His reign became legend not for conquest, but for restraint. Under his watch, the kingdoms flourished, trade returned, justice prevailed, and the North and South stood as one. Yet Jon always remained apart, burdened by his choices. He was king, yet still a lone wolf, the man who carried peace like a sword. When the snows finally fell for the last time, the realm mourned a king who had never wanted his crown. Songs were written of the bastard king, the wolf who ruled with heart, not fire. No throne bore his name, no statue carried his face, but his legend lived in every story told beside a fire. Jon Snow, the man who chose duty over desire, peace over power, became more than a ruler. He became the reminder that even in a world of dragons and thrones, honor still had a place. And so, when the next spring came to Westeros, the ravens carried a single message: the wolf still watches. The realm from the north,